Ta-da! Time for ukulele. Let me go post the links over on the website. First, we go to the website. Scroll down. Find this class. Put a space. Hit paste. Hit shift. Link. Whoops. Highlight. Link. Enter. Edit. Settings. Open a new window. Update and update. Website is jollyrogerukulele.com. All the sheet music is there. Hundreds of pieces of sheet music are there. It's a delightful place. You should go hang out. And all ukulele all the time. A little harmonica, a little guitar. And from there, you can learn to play ukulele at a very high level. And I'm going to also tweet today. I'm going to tweet it as Christmas. Put a pound sign. Christmas. Not Christmas. Christmas. Music. Christmas pound. Whoops. Christmas. Space. Pound. Music. No exclamation point. First Noel and the Way in a Manger. Instrumental ukulele. You even have the umlaut over the E. Look at how fancy I am. All right, there we go. All right, so there's that. We have tweeted, we have posted. People are rolling in. Somebody will make sure to let me know if the sound is weird. And let's see. Stop the steal. All right, so I'm catching up on the world news, which is always takes me about 3 minutes to catch up to find out that the world is still basically the same. And we are going to play Christmas music today, and it's very exciting. It's very wonderful. We have got to get ready for tomorrow. Tomorrow is our big day. Every Friday we have the concert of the week, and oh my gosh, do we have a good week of music we're playing. Who else logged in here? Lanny's here. He says I'm sounding good. Lanny was involved in broadcast television forever, and he knows what a misery it is that he's having to sit through these broadcasts. Elizabeth is here. She lives down the street from Lanny. Kari is here. Kari is here. Well, good to see you, Kari. Glad you're here. Jerry is here. Kari and Jerry are on my fight list. Glad you guys are here, Elizabeth. Good so far. Fran is back. Fran's logging in a lot of hours with me these days. She's going to be our Southern California stop off if we ever need a place to stay. You know, if the life ever falls completely apart, you just go to Southern California because you can sleep on the beach, right, Fran? Let's see. Sandy is here. Oh, you're still at the vet. Okay, shh. We have to be quiet. Sandy's been spending a quality amount of time at the veterinarian today. Elizabeth and I know a little bit about spending time at veterinarians, so we get it, Sandy. Hopefully you're doing okay there. Hopefully kitties or puppies or whatever you're working on there are going to be fine. Clay is in from Northern California, beautiful Santa Rosa. And Lynn is in from New Jersey. She's been logging in. She was late to a class earlier today, so I gotta get her act straightened out. Cat, hello, Cat. Yeah, Cat knows a little bit about logging hours at veterinarian too. Very, very. We are doing the right thing by taking these kitties and doggies in, but they break your heart eventually, right? In your pocketbook at some point. We had a puppy, a reservation dog that we rescued down in New Mexico. We call them reservation dogs. They're dogs that have, they've gone into places that are very remote, and they get these dogs, and sometimes they're a bit of a mess. And so we took one in, and we had her for 8 years, and boy, for the entire 8 years, she was an every other week to the vet kind of dog. She was a handful. Lindy is here. Howdy. Lindy was too busy for me earlier today. Jack and Diane. God, Jack, I'm never gonna get over it. Barbara and Jack are here from Illinois. Terry is in. Terry missed yesterday. Where the heck were you, Terry? Fran, hey, Fran's okay with us going down there and hanging out. Linda in from British Columbia. Cindy is in from Snarkland. She likes to pick on me. I don't like it. I'm much better at dishing it out than I am at taking it. Much better at that. And I think I really specialize in dishing it out. So I don't see any reason why I should have to take it. So let's see. Barbara's in today. Linda's in. Yeah, we have a really nice day. I haven't not been out of the building in about 3 days, so I got to fix that. The heat died over at the studio, and so I haven't been going over there because it's super miserable. And they're having to replace the whole boiler or parts, the gigantic part of the boiler or something. And so I haven't been going in. So it's kind of, uh, I look outside and I'm like, boy, it sure looks beautiful out there. I should go out. Haven't managed to get that because, as you guys know, the beginning of the week was a bit of a chaos. So, anyway, what are you going to do? Carol's in from western Colorado. She lives up in the mountains. Starting to snow up there these days. Um, Rita's in from Illinois. Hey, Rita, good to see you. Jack, Jack and Rita. Jack knows Rita. Marianne, sunny Michigan. Sunny Michigan? Oh, okay. I thought in my head, anything in the Midwest, it gets gray around October and it's gray until April. That's my idea of what the Midwest like. I don't know. I haven't spent any time in the Midwest. Owned a little tiny rental house in Lincoln, Nebraska for a few years. That's it. That's all I have. That's my entire. That's as close to the Midwest as I've ever gotten. Let's see. Linda's in. Hey, Linda. You never got the link to beginning ukulele. It was harmonica. Well, did you just take harmonica? That's fine, right? um, yeah, it's up there. Did I do it wrong? Well, everybody came except you, Linda. You can double check the archives. We covered Aloha Oi in painful detail. Let's see. Q is in, spying again on this level. You're allowed to spy on this level. Let's see. The sun is shining out. The sun is shining, right? It's Michigan. Don't kid yourself. It's still freezing. All right, that's funny. Kari, pretty close. That's why I left. Oh yeah, right. Okay. Gary is in. Gary and Diane from southern Washington. It's sunny up there today. Soon to be wet. Near Portland. Yeah, right. So we got it's fascinating. That's area. Portland was way ahead of the rest of the country with ukulele. They have been doing ukulele up there all along. Um, um, I think a lot of folk music and that type of stuff is still pretty common up in Oregon and southern Washington. And so they were, when I started ukulele, there was already some stuff going on, and Oregon was way ahead of the rest of the country. Let's see. Christina's in from Bozeman. Let's see. Where's Vicky been? I haven't seen her in a while, I don't think. Annie's in today. Cute. The hero plaque is over. I put it down over somewhere. That's enough of that. Yeah, it's here. Not able to get into ukulele classes. The link was for our harmonica class. What did I really put it up as harmonica? I think what happened was baritone, link. Oh, it is. Sorry, guys. Well, no wonder we didn't have anybody. Well, I apologize. I don't know how that happened. That's crazy. Sorry. We played Aloha Oi. That's what we did. You should go play it. It's a great song. Go listen to the archive. Sorry, I don't know how that happened. That's crazy. Harmonica class. Well, harmonica class, I bet you was still hidden, sitting in my copy paste. I bet I didn't copy it properly. Oh, brother. I'm sorry, Evelyn. Shoot. All right. Well, hero plaque. You guys are whack jobs. Hello, Arlo. Hello, Pauline. Hello, Red. Let's get going. All right. So I posted 2 new pieces of music for you, and I'm sorry that I goofed up the link on earlier class. I haven't done that yet. So I'm going to make all of the technology problems eventually. So sorry about that. We got First Noel and Away in a Manger. I posted both of those last night. I want to start with Away in the Manger. It's a little on the religious side, so I want to do that one and make sure we're okay with that one, and then I want to move on to First Noel, which isn't quite as religious. It's still pretty religious, but and then I want to give you the big picture of where we're headed. Away in the Manger. Here's what I found out, and I did not know this until last Christmas. Hey Patty, hey Judy. Not good enough. We want to. Q, you're not my interior decorator. Stop it. Here's what I found out. I grew up in this kind of church, like, oh my gosh, you're going to hell kind of church, which is great, by the way. And we sang Away in the Manger with one particular, with a melody. Well, it turns out that Catholics have a different melody for the exact same song, and was unaware of that. So last year, after many years of teaching Away in a Manger, I had somebody in the class say, "This isn't the melody I remember from growing up." And so I went online and I did research, and sure enough, there are two completely separate melodies that you can sing Away in the Manger to. And you have now the Mueller version, which I am told is the more standard version. And it makes sense to me. There's 80 gajillion Catholics. They have their version. That's the official version. We don't discuss it any further. And it doesn't surprise me at all that the Wacko church I grew up in had its own version, which is still pretty popular, but definitely different. And so the version you have, I am told, and according to Wikipedia, this is the more standard version of that. And if you want the other, if we play through this and you're like, this isn't what I remember, send me an email. I'll send you the other one. But this one's fine. This is absolutely fine. And it's interesting. We were talking about folk music earlier because of Aloha Oi in one of the other classes. How with folk music, the same exact song can be sung different ways, just even town to town or person to person. They have variations. You change the lyrics a little bit, and that's part of the fun of folk music. But to have completely different melodies for the same song is I think, fairly unusual, and so it's kind of a fun thing. So you have what I'm now going to call the Catholic version of this, and in any event, we don't really care about that, right? We care about what does the tab say to plunk out on my ukulele. So that's what we're going to be working on. And Carly says, this is the more traditional version. New version of the melody was adopted 40 or 50 years ago by most churches. Okay, so there you go. Maybe my church wasn't as wacko as it seemed. It was pretty wacko, guys. Is this the Catholic version or the wacko? This is the Catholic version. This is, I guess, so you'll know, and when we're all done, if you're like, that's not how this goes, then you'll know that you went to a wacko church like me. It's just the Catholic one. Oh, you grew up doing both versions. Oh, well, there you go. See. So here we go. Again, just kind of fun and interesting musical things that we like to find out about, like to work on. No judgment, right? Other than that, I call one a wacko version and one I call the Catholic version. So that pretend that there's no judgment involved in the word wacko, and we're all, this is not the Lutheran version. Yeah, I think it basically went down Catholic versus Protestant. I think is how that ended up going down. So really, what you're thinking about at this moment is, if you've been to Scotland, they're still fighting the Catholics versus the Protestants. Here we go. Where we are, we're right in the middle of it again. All right. Now, having said all that, who cares? Who cares, right? We're musicians. We play what's on the paper. Let's get to talking about this. You got a G chord, okay? For those of you newer, G chord. Make sure, those of you guys who teach ukulele, make sure your students do not do this G chord. This comes up from time to time. Basically, every single time I teach intro class, I get somebody doing their G chord upside down. This is wrong. This is not allowed, okay? Index finger on top, middle finger here, ring finger there. It's harder in the beginning, but it leads to much more pleasing results down the road. I wonder if they'd all work together. Yeah, we could do one. We could put them both together side by side, right? You play the first verse as in one, and then the second verse in the other style, and then somehow combine the two into one. Hey, there we go. That's a project I will do one of these days. That sounds like a fun idea, Elizabeth. We're gonna play both versions simultaneously. G chord. Okay. Now, what's weird about this is that when G is your main chord, it's unusual to see a G7 show up, but sure enough, here it is. Okay, and then your C chord, so G7. That's the easier one you learn on day 2, right? C chord. Back to your G chord. Got a D chord in here. Again, I always talk about if your fingers are really, really squished and you have a soprano, you're playing the wrong size instrument. Most of you should be playing a tenor. If you have short fingers, you should be playing a concert. Okay? There's your D chord. Everything's the same then. Down at measure 13, you have a D7. That's a bar on 2, middle finger on 3. And then there's also an A minor that shows up toward the bottom, and then a G chord. I don't think I've sung through this song since I was 7, so let's see how it goes. I'm going to count in 2. We'll just do it one time through and make sure we have a general sense of how this goes. And I don't even know if I'll sing it right. I'll try. 1, 2. Away in a manger, no crib for his bed. This is not how I learned it. The little Lord Jesus laid down his sweet head. The stars in the bright sky looked down where he lay. The little Lord Jesus asleep in the hay. Okay, so that's basically how it's going to go. It's different than the one I grew up with, which is fine. That's actually kind of fun. All right, next. Let's play the melody, okay, from the top. Because you're in G, the assumption is there's probably no ones. And as I peek through there, sure enough, no ones. So the smart thing is a melody player is now played in position 2, since you're not going to be using 1. Indexes plays the 2s, middle finger plays the 3s, and pinky plays the 5s. Very unlikely to have a 4 in this type of a song, and sure enough, we don't. Okay, so by playing in second position, you don't need to do anything else. You're just, all of your notes are under your fingers already. From the top, 1, 2. Okay, and then you would repeat it, set up to be repeated 3 times. So that the melody makes sense. You've heard that at some point. And so the melody's fine. So then let's go into chord melody. And guys, as I talk about all the time, play at your level. If you are brand new to ukulele, you should be playing melody and melody and more melody and melody and melody and melody and more melody. That's what you should be doing until that just is just as natural and smooth and reliable as possible. And then in terms of chord playing, yeah, you got to know your chords, but it's way less important than being able to pluck out the melody. And those chord shapes are going to change and get more complex and move around the fretboard on you. And at this style of play, at this level of play, we don't spend a ton of time talking chords because it's going to be different from song to song and parts of your fretboard and all this stuff. So knowing your chords is only important if you're a singer, and then you want to have them memorized and you want to be able to do them without any challenges whatsoever, because your ukulele serves generally as an accompaniment to your voice. But when you're playing in this style, yeah, you got to know your chords, but not really, because the minute you get like, oh, this is a C chord, well, the next song along, this is a C chord, oh, this is a C chord, James Hill is using this C chord, and Shimabukuro is using another one, and these crazy chords that they like to use. We like to use those on this instrument because we can actually reach them, and you can't do those on a larger instrument. And so a lot of times more advanced, the professional players will come up with these crazy looking chords on this instrument because you can't get those chords on other instruments particularly. Let's see. Marianne says, I had to cut away from the class for a minute to find the other version. I've only ever heard this one. Yeah, Yeah. Well, a lot of us have never sung this since Sunday school, right? And it's fine. It's not, I don't know, it's fine. But yeah, I think Elizabeth's idea is, hey, let's put them both together. That'll be funny. I think we'll see if I have time to do that this year or not. That's actually a tremendously cool idea. All right. So when we're talking about the chord shapes, remember the top note and all along was one of the things we talked about yesterday was the top note on if you compare the ukulele melody line, if you look through there and then compare it to the tough uke, it's the same. The top note is the top note all the way through. And then all I'm doing is when it's appropriate, I'm tossing in parts of the chord underneath that melody line. And you'll see in almost every arrangement I do, almost all of the time, the first beat of the measure, you'll almost always see a chord there because that's setting up the neighborhood or the environment in which the rest of the measure is going to live. So when you set up, right, rum-ba-dum, that's the neighborhood that those next few notes live in. And then when I get to measure 2, I set up a new neighborhood. Okay. And that way, when you hit these chords, you try not to pull your chord fingers off until you have to, because it helps the sound resonating forward and kind of filling in and helping the whole song along by creating a neighborhood in which the melody is going to live in, and that neighborhood changes every single time the chord changes. So on this song, where every single chord lasts the full measure, you're going to have a neighborhood of G, then a neighborhood of G7, then a neighborhood of C, and a neighborhood of G. And so it creates the neighborhood for the melody to live in. That's why when you're holding on a chord, it's very normal that you're already holding down most of the melody notes because those melody notes are coming right straight out of the neighborhood that that chord lives in. And so all that's coming together. Kari says, I can try this afternoon. They are complementary, but the chord changes are the same. Yeah, it's fascinating how jarring in my head this version is, having grown up with the other version. But let me look into that. I think we put them together. It'll be funny. All right, now let's go through it. Let's walk through everything. Make sure you're comfy with it. You got your 5, right? Pinkies is 5. You're gonna have your G chord on, okay, and then you leave your pinky there. Slide it back to get the 3, and then take it off. That's going to work better. A lot of times I see people, they'll play this G chord, they see a 3, they drop their ring finger, their ring finger to get it, and then that kills the chord. So try not to do that. It's smarter to pull your pinky back, because then you also get a little bit of a zip down there, okay? When I get to measure 3, I don't play the full chord because the melody note is lower than the high C. Exactly. You got it, Lynn. Okay. Yeah, your wording is a little weird, but you know exactly what you're talking about. Okay. We'll talk about that very briefly when we get there. It's great thought, Lynn. Okay. So measure, she's ahead of us. Measure 1, get your G chord on, play the 5, slide your pinky back to get the 3, and then take it off to get the 2. Measure 2, you got a G7, pull your ring finger off, put it back on for the 3. And here's what Lynn's talking about. The chord is a C, but the melody note is right here, so you can't play this top string or it messes up the melody. So your 3 goes here, okay? And that's why all the time you'll see 003 and I will say C chord. It's still a C chord. It's just not the C chord you're used to playing. Okay, when you're a new ukulele player and you get the little book that comes with your ukulele, you're like, okay, that's a C chord. You're like, okay, and then you get to Gary and he's like, that's a C chord too, and you're like, what about this chord? Well, they're both C chords. Okay, and that happens in fingerstyle and instrumental ukulele all the time. All these chords will become questionable what you think you know, and it's a little initially makes you sad. You're like, well, but I like this C chord. That's the only one I ever want to do. Now, no, you think that in the beginning, but you don't. You're going to do lots of C chords. So 003 is a C chord, okay, and then 20. And then look at it, measure 4, that G chord. It really is a G chord, but because the melody is on the 2 of the 3rd string, you can't really do much with that chord. That's the problem with arranging things too low, is you run out of chord stuff to add underneath. Okay, and also in this case, your G string is higher than the D note in the melody. So you got to be somewhat judicious about how you hit that. You don't want to hit this one so loud that it becomes the melody. Okay, hit the 2 again, measure 5, same story. I'm going to hold my D chord, but I'm only going to hit 2 of those strings. And my melody note's still this low D note, but I'm hitting an A note here. And so if I make this one too loud, it will confuse your ear. O2. Let's go on to measure 6, same story. And then measure 7, you get a full C chord, but you're not going to hit the top string because the melody note's sitting there with an open A for some reason. And finally at measure 8, you get a real G chord, right? Okay, pinky on 5. Strum again. Slide it back. G7. O3. 003. Hit the 2. Hit the 0. 0-2. Hit the 2 again. And then you got a nice D7. Pull your middle finger off. Full G chord. Ring finger up. I'm sorry, middle finger up. 3, and then A minor. O2. And then a G chord. Partial. That 5 is the pickup note to take you right back to the top. One of the things I started doing with my arrangements is in music, we always, when we have that type of arrangement, it happens all the time in music where we go back and we play it, where there's a pickup note, that's that last note of measure 16. It will almost always mirror the pickup note in measure 0. Okay, so if it measure 0, you got a D note or a 5 leading into the main part of the song. And almost always the pickup note to wherever you do the turnaround at, wherever you do the repeat, that note will almost always be the same note. And so they're echoing each other. Because you got to put that pickup note somewhere, and it doesn't. And back in old-fashioned music, they would not put the note there, and you would just have to know that you're going to go back and play the pickup note again. And so you'll notice as you're singing, "Asleep in the hay, the," and then you go back, "cattle are lowing." So I've started putting in the actual word up there on the pickup note in parentheses, because sometimes it's just easier if you look up there and you're like, "the cattle," or if you can just look up there, a little easier for the singers, I think, to have the actual word just right up there where it makes grammatical sense. So that's what's going on with this piece of music in terms of the layout of it and how I'm playing it with my thumb. But I also want to go through and let's play it with a claw and see how that feels. Gary says measure 13 sounds good with 2023. Yeah. So this is always a question that comes up when you have a D7 and you have your melody and a note on 3 here. I almost always put it as this, but you actually can put it as 202 and then add your melody note, and you get a different depth of sound. I usually almost always go with the bar because I just think I don't know, I just almost always go with the bar. But 202 with a 3 there, the other D7, combine it with your 3, you get a different texture to it. Sounds nice, right? Good idea, Gary. And then Patricia says, in the tough view, what are those dots next to the chords? Okay, great question. So on your piece of music, now we're getting into messy stuff that classical guitar players have to deal with. And so on your sheet of music, let's look at that measure. Let's not look at 1. I think it's fine to look at measure 1 because it's really quite complicated. Measure 1, you have 0, 2, 3, 5, and all those have dots after them. But you notice the dot after the 5 is slightly different than the dot that's after 0, 2, and 3. And then 3, 2 don't have a dot. Here's what's going on there. Notice in the melody line, look up in the chords and lyrics, you've got a dotted quarter, the away. Then you have the 8th note, which we would expect most of the time after a dotted quarter, you'll see an 8th note. In a, and then those don't have dots. Okay, so way is worth 1.5 beats. In is worth a half a beat. That makes 2. And then A is worth 1 beat. So there's your 3 beats, right? Away in a main Okay, so you're getting your 3 beats in there. That way, that melody note is a dotted quarter. Now look down at the tablature. You got that exact thing. You got the 5 having 1.5 beats, and then you have the 3 and the 2. Those are, it doesn't say how long those are. That's a weakness of tablature. And then right underneath that, I've added in the chord. But I want that chord to last the whole. I want the chord to carry through for the whole time. And so I've put in a different layer on the sheet music, dotted half notes underneath there. And so the sound file will keep those things going through. And so that's those dots. Those are actually dotted half notes, which equal 3 beats, the 0, 2, and 3 happening simultaneously in a different layer on your sheet music. That is happening with a dotted quarter note followed by an eighth note followed by a quarter note. Now you don't see that because when we print it, all those layers get smashed down together. And in ukulele, we don't care because your ukulele doesn't have the level of sustain that is going to make a dramatic difference on whether you let a note ring or not. Those of you who played piano, remember when you learned about the sustain pedal and you played everything just sort of camped out on the sustain pedal? After a while, all the notes start crashing around against each other because they're still sustaining and they don't sound good at some point. You lift up the pedal, everything stops, put the pedal back down, you start again. In ukulele, we don't care about that because none of our notes sustain long enough to make that a problem. In guitar, it really is a problem. And so guitar, these low notes will ring forever if you let them. And so we have to be much more conscious in that instrument about how long you let notes sustain. In ukulele, we don't. So in this case, what it says is, and the whole time 0 and 2 are still 0, 2, and 3 are ringing because I've not lifted up those fingers. The whole time it's ringing through. You can barely hear it if you are sitting with the ukulele and you have a quality ukulele. If you have kind of a crummy ukulele, you won't hear that sustain at all. It'll just be the notes. So don't overthink that. That's what's going on there. Is it's just a different layer of the sheet music. When I write out the sheet music, I use a green font and I can see where my accompaniment notes are much more easily when I'm writing the sheet music. Once I've written it all gets smashed down together onto regular sheet music. And so you don't want to overthink it, but that's what's going on there. Let's see. So that's what's going on with that, Patty. I'm in trouble for not saying the D7 chord change was, Diane. Yeah, Gary, would you please stop taking credit for Diane's ideas? Diane's the one who knows what's going on. Your job is just to do the typing, okay? You're our secretary, Gary. Diane is the idea person, okay? That's how this is going to work. You have to worry about sustain in a baritone. Yeah, baritone you do. Baritone comes up. It's interesting because we don't have metal strings. They don't ring long enough. Even if those of you guys that have low G, you know. If you put a plastic low G string on, it's just like playing a regular ukulele. It just sounds bad. But if you put a metal low G string on, and don't do this if your ukulele isn't designed for it. I've ruined 3 ukuleles pretending I could do that. Don't put a metal string on here unless it came with a metal string. And if it came with a metal string, keep a metal string on here. But when you when this string becomes metal, it rings. It really does. And it's going to stay a while. When you take this goofy little thing here, those notes ring a lot longer because they're metal and they ring a lot longer, and you start to have to figure out that stupid low string is still ringing, and you take your thumb and stop it. So yeah, that comes up. Yeah. So again, you're probably overanalyzing the music. You're just going to play what's on the paper, but there is a reason why all of this is the way it is. And so thank you for that question. Away in a Manger, sung by the congregation. All right, so Elizabeth she's moved on to looking at Away in the Mangers on YouTube. All right, let's play it one last time, and then we'll move on to First Noel. 1, 2. repeat. Last time through, go to your claw. Second ending. Seven, 7, 7, 10. Okay, so there's Away in the Manger. Really pretty little song. I will investigate whether it would be fun to add in the other version into the same piece of sheet music and see what we would end up with. Might be kind of cool. Now, that's enough of that. Let's move on to First Noel. Dun, dun, dun. It's in the Fs. I probably mentioned this yesterday, but you want to have your Christmas music in a separate section in your book, or actually physically in a separate book. You're not going to play this stuff January through October, so there's no reason to leave it in your main book. Put your Christmas music as a separate section. All right, First Noel. Again, this is not a really, really challenging song. With this one, though, there's a whole bunch more chord work you're going to be doing, a whole lot more motion that's going to be going on. It's got a lot more, it's a lot more fun to play, to be perfectly honest. The one thing that's a tiny bit of a challenge here, I want you to point it out right off the bat. Your repeats here are going to eat you up if you don't pay attention. Okay, so the first time you pull up the song, your happy as clam, everything's going to go great. You play all the way down through measure 24. It says, oh, there's a repeat. Go back, play all the way down, go back to 1. You're playing all the way down through 24 again. And then what do? Okay, that's when the DSL Fine kicks in. The second time through DSL Fine, and you're like, oh, what does that mean? I don't even know what that means. And that means go to the segno and play to the fine, which is the end. So then I say, as kind of a comical thing, hey, where's your segno? Okay. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, there was a segno? I never saw it. And it's very easy to read past your segnos in music. So you got to go look for them. And ours is sitting at measure 17. And so when you see that DSL, they'd always I find it a little demoralizing. You're playing a song and then you get down to some place that says DSL Fine and you're like, oh, crud. Was there a segno that I didn't pay attention to? And so it's hiding out at measure 17. So the second time you play it through twice, but the last time, instead of going back to measure 1, you're going to go back to 17. And then you're going to play it down through measure 23, skip 24, and play 25 and 26. Okay, so it's going to feel, you're going to play it 2.5 times. It's going to feel kind of like playing it through 3 times, but it's really 2.5 times. You play through it completely twice, and then the last time we're going to go to 17 and play to the end. Jennifer made it in. Hey, Jennifer. And Lindy says, I'm one of those people who plays Christmas music all year long, but I still have it in a separate I used to play Christmas music all year long, and then I realized the amount of Christmas music we do in a 6 or 8 week period is overwhelming, and I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it being I'm fine not touching it the rest of the year. All right, First Noel. Let's we'll go through and do some. I'm getting my page turner and getting fired up. All right, I'm gonna sing. Okay, close your ears. Here we go from the top. 1, 2. The first Noel, the angels did say unto certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay. In fields where they lay, they were keeping their sheep on a cold winter so deep. Noel, 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 Noel. Born is the King of Israel. I did that on purpose. Okay. You knew that when you heard me singing, you would be like, oh God, please stop singing. But what you really found out was, oh my gosh, there's a lot of chord changes in this, right? And I tried to keep the pacing steady on purpose. I wanted to ruin your afternoon for just a second. Okay. You got a lot of chords in here. So we always think of something like this as, oh, I'll just sing it, right? Well, maybe not. Now, as smart musicians, which chord, if you get to a multi-chord measure, you see lots of chords in it, and you're like, this isn't going to go well for me. What's the chord that matters? There's lots of chords in measure 6. Which chord matters? It's probably almost always, not every single time, but almost always what Jerry says. The first chord is going to matter. If I ignore all of the other chords, I'm still going to be able to pull this song off. Let me show you. The first Noel, the angels did say, unto certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay, in fields where they lay. I can't sing that measure at all, by the way. The first measure is the first chord is the one that matters. Okay. You definitely lose something by not doing the other chords. And when I'm doing arrangements, especially when we're doing jazz tunes and there's 17 chords in a measure and none of them make any sense, I will occasionally start losing some of those in preference for playability. But on a song like this that's relatively playable off the bat, I would like to add some chords. I'd like it to be as complex and deep and as interesting as possible. And so there's sort of this fight that goes on in my head. Do I simplify it to make it easier to play, or do I complicate it to make it more depth and more complex? And for the most part, I usually don't have to make those really complicated decisions, because for the most part, if a song is relatively easy or relatively well known, or like it's part of our cultural heritage or whatever, I'm going to probably go for a more in-depth chord structure. Whereas if it's a super crazy difficult song, you start thinking about, well, I don't know if we really need all these weirdo notes in here. And so that's what's going on here. I went for less for playability and more for complexity on this song. So let's run through the melody real quick. We're doing fine on time. I just want to make sure we have a pretty good sense of how this goes. The lyrics on this were pretty challenging. Anytime you get songs from 1800s, there's a lot of stuff in there that doesn't necessarily always line up with the notes as way I wish they would. From the top, one time through. Jennifer says, you are singing the Christmas songs really well. Right now, Jennifer is saying, say something nice. Okay, she's a school teacher, so she knows to encourage me for my self-esteem. Stop it, Jennifer. I know what's coming out of my face. I'm aware. All right, from the top, just the melody. Let's get the ukulele singing. You'll be happier. 1, 2. Isn't this lovely? Pay attention, there's your senyo. then the first time through, you'll hit O2 and go back to the beginning of the song. The second time you hit measure 24, you're going to go to 17. So if you haven't already taken your yellow highlighter and put it on the front of 24 and the front of 17, you probably want to do that because you're going to mess it up otherwise. Okay. I don't say that as negative fatalism, right? I just have messed every repeat up ever in my entire life when I don't notate them properly. All right. So if you're like me, you're going to mess it for sure. All right. Let's walk through the tough uke, and then we're going to play this thing. Okay. From the top, O2. O2. Nice little chord here. See that again, this is weird. 001 inside of a C chord. That's weird. Then you got that F note in the middle of a C chord. It happens a lot of times toward the end of a measure. They'll add in a weird note to kind of help you resolve it into that next measure. Okay, that F doesn't belong there, but it sounds cool. The first note, that's wrong, L, and then it resolves immediately right after. They're kind of cool. Okay, so measure 2, you got a partial G chord, O2. And you guys have seen this a million times. Index finger, ring finger, 2003. Okay. F chord and 003. O2. F chord with the 3, that's the melody note. Slide it back to a 2. Open it up. And here's where it gets tough. E minor, partial, full D minor, full G. And then that should be an F chord, sorry. And then the C chord, then the G7, and then the open. So I missed the chord there. I thought I had them all. I will post a little bit of a amended account, but there should be an F chord at the beginning of that measure, and then the C chord comes right after. Okay, so it goes F chord, then a C chord, then a G7, and then a C in measure 8. Okay, so I'll post a revised version of this. Sorry about that, guys. So from measure 6, let's go from there. I found a typo, so I have to back up a little bit. Measure 6, 1, 2, 3. So we got 7 chords right away there. And then we same as the beginning. 11, 12. Here's your F chord. I'm sorry. E minor, D minor, G chord, F chord with your pinky, C chord, G7, and then 0. Okay, so the same typo showed up at me. That's the beauty of copy and paste, right? Those of you who've done this. Okay. Measures 15 is the same as measure 7. Should be F chord, C chord, G7 chord, C chord. All right, let's go on to 17. Whoop. Okay, now things change because you got an E minor there instead. A minor, F chord, again, C chord. Go on to the next page. F chord, G7, F chord with your 3, C chord, G chord, G7, and then 0. Okay, so you're going to be busy on the tough uke line of this. Okay, let's go back. Let's play it. Let's play it from the beginning. What I'd love for you guys to do, always, not always, but at least in practice, right? When you're getting a song together, play with your thumb the first time through. I promise it'll sound pretty. Okay. Second time, go through and use your claw and see how that's going. And then ultimately come up with an idea behind your song that incorporates maybe a couple of different textures. If I'm playing this song, the first part's going to be the thumb for sure. Okay. Every time I'm playing page 1, I'm playing with my thumb. But when I get to Noël, I'm going to try to probably bring in some type of different texture. I'm probably going to go with my claw there. But be adventurous with your right hand choices, certainly during practice time. When you get ready for rehearsal and performance, then you sort of stop goofing around and actually stick with something. But in the meantime, it's a very typical habit to go to what sounds good all the time, and I promise your thumb will always sound good on ukulele, but it sometimes gets to be a little bit of a habit that you haven't fully investigated all of your choices. Okay, let's play the whole thing 2.5 times through. 1, 2. To the top. To 17. Second ending. Okay, so there you go. All right. I'll have to post a revised version of this with those 2 chords I missed, and I apologize. I will get that done here shortly and repost it, so you'll have it by tomorrow. Tomorrow, let's talk about that. And tomorrow and the week ahead. Tomorrow we are playing for your Friday concert. We are playing Silent Night. We are playing Bowling Sign. We are playing For Elise. We are playing Ode to Joy. We are playing Adeste Fidelis, which is What Child Is This, right? Or one of those. We are playing First Noel. We are playing Away in the Manger. We are playing the Make It Better bar worksheet, and we are playing the Jumping Flea Arpeggiator D minor, page 8 of the Jumping Flea Arpeggio book. So we have our work cut out for us tomorrow. So come in with your game face on, be ready to tackle Christmas and get this stuff going. Here's what you should know. Going forward, most of the easier Christmas music, I'm going to move over into the 12 o'clock hour. So stuff that has basically at this level, we're going to move most of that stuff into the earlier class. So if you're struggling a little bit, come to the 12 o'clock class. And of course, you have to figure out what time that is where you live. But the 12 o'clock class is meant for music that's a little bit easier to play, right? And most of basically this stuff here is sort of on the easier side. That means that the stuff that's a little bit more complicated, a little bit more makes you sad kind of thing, I would be posting that in this hour. So it'll still be, for the most part, it'll be mostly public domain stuff here, but I'm going to try to divide it up into less common, a little more difficult for you guys in this hour, and a little bit easier and a little more a little bit more normal. Is that a word? music in the 12 o'clock hour. So the key here is it doesn't matter what hour you come through, you should download all of the music. Okay. And so that will be happening between the two. So when you come in, doesn't matter which class you come to, just you should download all the music and put it in your book so that you have it and you can start building your complete ukulele Christmas repertoire. But again, easier stuff will be in the noon hour, a little bit either a little more difficult or a little more obscure music will be in the 1 o'clock hour here this period. And then traditional or the modern music is happening on Monday nights, and I'm going to stick to that. Those of you guys that are members, I want you to have something special that you guys get. And so on Monday nights we do the member orchestra concerts, and so all of the modern music, all the Santa Claus stuff and that stuff is going to end. Frosty and whatever, all of the modern jazz Christmas stuff that we've done over the years. We move that into the Monday night class, so that the members have a reason to be a member. Okay, so that's how I'm going to approach this for the next few weeks, and hopefully that fits into what you're doing. Make sure if you're not a member, you should be saying, why am I not a member? It would be awesome, and I should do that. And then you're talking your friends into doing it too. And then otherwise, you're just coming to the front page, and most of everything we play will be great. So there's if you're not into that. If you don't like eBay, or not eBay, what is it we use? PayPal. Can't deal with PayPal. Then you'll get the traditional Christmas music stuff. And make sure you're downloading the stuff from the 1 o'clock and the noon hour classes because it'll be great. Vince Guaraldi, exactly. That'll be the night class. Go ahead. Go ahead. Just see how easy that is to play on ukulele. We've done it. It's hard. All right, so there you go. Plenty of Christmas music, plenty to keep you busy tonight. Come to class ready to rock hard tomorrow, and we're going to turn ukulele into a thing. And thank you guys for being here. That makes me happy. This is absolutely getting me through this crazy time in our lives. Hey, go out and do a random act of kindness for somebody. Don't go out and be safe, right? Keep practicing, keep showing up. I promise if you keep showing up, you will be playing at a crazy high level in a short amount of time, and you won't even believe it. And it doesn't matter if you have any talent or not. I will get you there. And then finally, like and subscribe. That helps. I guess that helps me. I don't know. It doesn't seem to, but maybe it does. And I will see all you guys tomorrow. Let me see who's sneaking out here. Jennifer was telling me I'm a good singer. Yeah, they're good songs. They are good songs. It doesn't matter what religious background you come from. And I don't even care about that, right? I mean, I just care if they're nice melodies. They sound great on ukulele. Let's keep going on them. Patricia, oh, come all you faithful. It will be in there. It's in the mix. Absolutely. O Tannenbaum. All the O songs they're in the mix for sure. Thanks, Fran. Good to see you, Jennifer. O Come, Emmanuel is absolutely in there. For you Catholics, I had never heard that song ever. And then I had, years ago, one of the guitar players says, that's my favorite song. And I'm like, okay, I've never heard it. I'll put it together. It's gorgeous piece of music. Got that coming. Patricia, you're welcome. Elizabeth, I've got Schubert's Ave Maria coming. I will let you know that's really designed to be a duet. It's really not possible as a solo ukulele player, but I'll give you the melody, I'll give you the chords, and I will give you what should be a duet partner's arpeggio pattern on that. But yes, you'll get Schubert's Ave Maria. Isn't it amazing? This instrument is set up for ukulele Christmas. It's set up. It's absolutely delightful. And you get to do all the music yourself this year. Turn off Perry Como and Bing Crosby. Turn them off. You're going to be the music. You're the radio this year. Hey, Barbara, have a great day. Cindy, Cindy and her Charlie Brown. What the heck? Feliz Navidad is in there. Yep, it's one of them. Elizabeth, we'll give it that. Cindy, hooray. For Vince. Lindy, nice. Thank you, Lindy. Good to see you. Terry, good to see you, bud. We missed you yesterday. Christine, you feel special? Good. You should feel special. You are special. Not in the red kind of way. In the real kind of way. Hey, Lanny, have a great day. Elizabeth, you're welcome. Marion, happy to you. Linda, thanks for showing up. So delighted to see you, Linda. Mahalo to you. All right. You bet, Jennifer. Have a great day. Linda. All right. Yeah. Right. Hopefully you guys are cool with it. Okay, Kat. You're welcome, Kat. Be safe down there. I know you're dealing with a heck of a situation, so be safe. Annie, good to see you. Cindy. I think, yeah, I did. I think I did in the Bleak Midwinter for somebody. I think it might be on guitar. It's all transferred over. Sure, we'll get it in there. Duet with baritone and ukulele. Well, you can do all of this can be done with duet, all of it, right? Chords, what melody? Make your life easy. Don't overthink it. All right, Jennifer. Yeah, I think I did it. I did it with for something. I remember doing it in the Bleak Midwinter. So we'll toss that one in as well. It's sad, you guys. Thanks, Linda, for being here. Way in the Manger is different from what we learned in school and church, but I have heard this version before. Yeah, I'm gonna go. I think Elizabeth's idea that put the two versions together has some legs to it. So let me see what I can come up with, Linda. Yeah, I definitely did not do this version of Away in the Manger. So the other one, I did and in fact, I taught it for several years before anybody ever even said anything. Hey, Clay, mahalo to you. Yeah, we got a lot of votes for In the Bleak Midwinter. All right. Thanks, Jerry. Good to see you. Kari, you bet. You guys, we don't have the Christmas group this year, so I don't know what you guys are going to do. So we'll do it here, right? Have a great day, you guys. Good to see everybody. Take care. I'll see you tomorrow.